I feel a little bit embarrassed.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
It generally looks a bit dreary.
It's definitely not a looker.
Across the country, there are people stuck with an embarrassing problem.
You certainly wouldn't drive past and go, oh, I want to live in that house.
It's a very tired house. It feels like it's gone...
And these aren't just the unlucky few. Thousands of us feel burdened with houses that are dated and dreary. But a fresh eye can transform even the ugliest house into a dream home.
I need to make this space exciting to create fantastic drama.
I'm given the owners of some of Britain's ugliest houses the services of some of our most talented architects.
What I strive for, find the heart of the home, and it's just getting that back, getting the kind of the life and soul back.
With money tight...
I'm not hopeful about what we can get for that 50,000.
And ambitions high, delivering a vision that everyone will be happy with won't be easy.
I do have reservations about this.
If a client chips away too much at the design, it starts to look very ordinary again.
But if they get it right, it'll prove that great architecture doesn't have to cost the earth.
I actually can't believe that we live in a house like this.
And has the power to transform not just buildings...
It's fulfilled our dreams, really.
...but lives.
It's gone from dark to something wonderful.
It's so different.
It's as if someone's lifted our house out and put a new one in its place.
In the 1960s, housing like this was springing up all over Britain.
This estate in Hertfordshire was built, like so many across the country, to accommodate a massive population boom.
With their generous proportions and clean lines, these family homes promise modern living in an architecturally harmonious world.
But over the years, some of the houses have been meddled with so disastrously that they've become eyesores.
Like this one, butchered in the 1980s by a bizarre extension tacked onto the front. With garish bright yellow bricks, tiny mean-spirited windows, and a shabby full Victorian porch.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it? It's not something you would drive past and go, oh, I want to live in that house.
Dark and ominous. It's hardly a cheerful place.
It sticks out like a sore thumb. We always describe it as the ugly house, and we never tell anybody the number, and they always manage to knock on the right door.
Its ugliness is even a source of embarrassment in the neighbourhood.
Gloomy and dark and lonely.
I always think it must be terribly dark inside, because it hasn't got any windows on the edges.
The brickwork is yellow. The house is really looking very ugly, actually.
The brown windows do nothing for it at all. It's really characterless. It's just really not got a style.
It's an ugly duckling, and it's waiting to be made into a beautiful swan.
It might not be handsome on the outside, but when Simon and Sue bought this house for £440,000 in 2014, they thought it would solve all their problems.
The house had everything we needed. 4 bedrooms on its own plot of land.
But everything else doesn't work, does it?
You meant to turn it upside down.
I'm trying to keep him down.
Simon's a self-employed draftsman, and with Sue's kids living with them, it's far from the dream home they'd hoped for.
Share them out. Make sure the dog don't get them. Simon works from home.
We're on top of each other, aren't we?
We are all treading on eggshells.
I suppose it's like a little boiling pot, waiting to explode.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning.
So good to see you, mate. How are you? Coming out? Do you want to kind of tell me why you went for something like this? I mean, I shouldn't be too rude about your house, because it's going to be kind of home sweet home. But why did you go for this one?
I used to live around the corner, and I used to say to you, if I could get my hands on that, what it could become.
Yeah, you were always the one who saw more than what I used to look at it and think, my God, absolutely.
She wants to buy that. Yeah, no. It's really odd, isn't it? Because when you look at the other houses in the area, none of them are built out of that yellow brick.
Exactly. It stands out for all the wrong reasons, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is the inside better than the outside?
before.
It's debatable.
This is it.
What's that?
That's the toilet.
You come into the front door and it's bang, it's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That is the worst place you could ever put a toilet.
It blocks everything out here.
That's not great, is it?
Especially if you're kind of sitting just in that
very
seat there and
dark,
somebody's
isn't it?
using the toilet. It's...
That's nice, isn't it? Acoustically, that must be really lovely. So you're sitting here watching telly and someone's just the other side of that wall.
When the original house was extended in the 1980s, it distorted the classic 60s floor plan. By blocking off the entrance with a toilet and elongating the living room, the downstairs has lost all sense of proportion.
I mean, the biggest problem is that your entire living space is like one giant hallway. You come through that doorway, and then you're having to walk diagonally. It's even worse that you're going diagonally as well, because it divides the space even more.
Yeah.
To get the office, staircase, and kitchen.
Simon and I could be sitting watching TV, the kids come in with their friends, they want to go upstairs. You have a procession of kids walking in front of, you know, all the way up.
Even worse, it's banished light from the long, narrow lounge. The porgy kitchen is disconnected from the main living space, and the office, marooned in the middle of the house, is cramped and dingy. Upstairs, there's no let-up in the damage inflicted by the 80s extension.
It's a very deep house, this, but because the staircase is so far down into the plan, it means you've got really long, skinny bedrooms like this. It's basically a corridor with a bunk bed in it.
While Sue's son, Max's room, feels cramped, on the other side of the wall, her and Simon's large bedroom has space to spare. But despite the mangled layout of this house, with 2,000 square feet of living space, it has massive potential.
What is your budget for this project?
My budget's 50K.
Yeah, it's 50K, and that's quite a strict budget, because we're getting married in August.
Oh, yeah.
So timing's terrible.
I've got to chuck into that. I've still got to work while all this is going on as well, haven't I?
Right.
Yeah, you'll be working in the middle of it,
Well,
the build.
Nice.
Yeah.
You've got to keep the money coming in to pay for the wedding that's coming up in August. You ideally want the house finished in August as well.
Yeah, all right, George, you can shut up now.
I can't see where there could ever possibly be a problem. What could go wrong? This house is a really difficult puzzle to solve. It's dark, it's claustrophobic, it's really badly laid out. Now, you might be tempted just to knock out all the walls and make a completely open plan, but in some ways, that's a bit of a cliche. What this needs is really good creative design, and that's what you pay an architect for.
I've decided to team Simon and Sue up with architect Laura Jane Clark, who specialises in breathing life into unlovely spaces.
What I strive for is to kind of reimagine the space, find the heart of the home that's often missing, and it's just getting that back, getting the kind of the life and soul back.
One of Laura's best-known projects is a conversion of a disused Victorian public toilet.
So this is one of my favourite projects of all time. It's the old underground toilet that I converted into a one-bedroom flat. So originally the toilets were running along here. I just realised how much I love working with small spaces in this kind of really restricted site and creating something absolutely fantastic.
To prove that she can transform Sue and Simon's home within their £50,000 budget, Laura's agreed to deliver her design at no cost.
This house was absolutely butchered in the 1980s. And so what we really need to do is strip all those ugly additions away and find this essence of the 1960s home, but bringing it into the 21st century. We need light in the middle to kind of penetrate this whole space. We need to be able to close these areas off, but then also open them up to the living area. And that doesn't necessarily need to be hugely expensive.
We've never worked with an architect before, but the budget we have is the budget we've got. And that's what's worrying me, that I'm going to fall in love with everything she's drawn, and I'm not going to be able to get it.
what do we do then?
I don't know.
3 weeks later, and Laura's ready to show Sue and Simon her design for the house. And I can't wait to see it too.
As an architect, the first time that you have to present to your client can be a pretty frightening time, Because it really is you setting out your vision for their home, and you're desperately hoping that they like it and they buy into it.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to get going on it.
Yeah, I'm apprehensive. I just want to have a look at them. I want it to be good. I want it to be right.
You've got two very excited clients. Should we start from the top? Just ground floor plan?
So obviously the problem with the house is it's very dark, and basically the entire ground floor is all circulation. So what I was trying to do was rationalise the plan. So it's really important to get those private spaces and the communal spaces. It's a question of being able to shut the whole plan down, but then open it up to create this wonderful light and airy space.
The key to Laura's design is reconfiguring the internal layout. Her boldest idea is to move the staircase to the heart of the floor plan to create room for a larger kitchen. Her next big idea is to divide the downstairs space into a series of living zones with a revolving wall and folding doors. Upstairs, the master bedroom gets an ensuite bathroom, and Max's bedroom moves towards the rear of the house, where, to keep costs down, the other two bedrooms will remain untouched. With a very clever piece of design, Laura will bring light into the heart of the home with skylights over Max's bedroom and the repositioned stairs. Bifold doors at the back of the house will allow even more light in. To tackle the ugly front facade, Laura plans to create new larger windows, more in keeping with the original 60s design. She'll tone down the yellow brickwork, and to draw the eye away from the 80s roofline, Laura will complete the transformation with a stylish horizontal canopy.
It's actually very simple. What I've done is very simple. You're not actually doing anything massively kind of expensive. Obviously, moving the stair, there's costs involved, but it's quite a simple layout. And as long as you're keeping those structural elements, I think we can do it.
It's gorgeous.
Looks like a completely different house altogether.
I love it. Yeah, definitely.
So happy.
I love serving happy.
The toilet's moved. And then upstairs you get a fantastic master bedroom suite. Obviously that bedroom 4 is the slightly smaller one.
As long as bedroom 4 isn't too titchy, because I will have a very unhappy little boy.
There's always got to be a bit of compromise somewhere. So if you're going to have a big master bedroom suite and a big ensuite bathroom and everything else, he's going to get a smaller room. Basically.
He's the youngest,
unfortunately.
I have to say it's a much more ambitious overhaul than I was expecting, and it's all got to be done for just £50,000.
I think Laura's come up with a really clever design to unlock Sue and Simon's house. But it's just that, a design, a plan committed to paper. And actually, there's a huge amount of work to do and what is actually quite a small budget. If Laura's got any chance of pulling this thing off, there's one thing that she's going to need: a very good builder.
On this 1960s estate in Hertfordshire, there's one house that stands out for all the wrong reasons.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it? It's not something you would drive past and go, I want to live in that house.
But the 1960s dream turned into a 1980s nightmare when this house was badly extended in an attempt to turn it into a Victorian townhouse. Now, architect Laura Jane Clark wants to put this right, but with a budget of just £50,000, she's going to need a talented builder. Duncan Walls has agreed to take on the job and promises to finish it within 10 weeks and on budget.
I'm taking this job on because it is something different. It'll be challenging. You know, there's not going to be enough hours in the day, but we'll enjoy doing it, and we'll be able to stand back at the end of the job and go, we've had some good fun with it.
Duncan and his team's first job is to remove most of the interior walls downstairs. It's very dirty work, but to keep costs down, the family have decided to live on site throughout the build.
A lot of our clients do. They tend to. I always say to them, we're going to move in with you, but I'm happy to work around them. I appreciate some people can't move out of their houses. It's not great. You have to work together.
Simon's need for a quiet workspace has been solved by architect Laura. She's designed him a garden office that's been funded separately through his business. It's prefabricated, so it's quick to go up.
I'm really excited to see exactly what it looks like, because seeing it on the Laura's design, you don't fully understand until it's actually built. So.
Simon doesn't have to wait long. 2 days later, he's out of the house, just as Sue wanted.
I am over the moon this has been done, because it's just seems such a long time coming, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Over the next 3 weeks, Duncan and his team make massive strides. With all the interior walls down, the house is ready for the first of Laura's big design ideas, moving the staircase. For architects, stairs are a key design element where they can really demonstrate their flair. Even in a small space, narrow, steep stairs can look stunning. As the sole connection between floors, their position also dictates a house's floor plan.
So the fundamental problem to this layout is that the stair is completely in the wrong place. So moving those will just open the whole plan up, allow light into the centre of the plan.
Repositioning the stairs by just a couple of metres closer to the entrance is a surprisingly simple step, as well as freeing up space for a bigger kitchen.
You know, moving the staircase is really the cornerstone of Laura's design. And if she's got it right, it will really open up Sue and Simon's spaces all throughout the house and transform how they live, really. Now that the build's moved on, I can't wait to see how the space is shaping up. Morning.
Hi.
It's all change. It's brilliant. So good to see you. How are you? You're well. Lovely to see you. I can't quite believe it. What a massive difference already, isn't it? Spatially, it's brilliant.
It is.
It is really, really good. Honestly, moving the staircase from this position over to there has really, really transformed it.
With the stairs now in the centre of the plan, space has been created for a new bedroom for Sue's son, Max. What's left of his old narrow room will be converted into an ensuite bathroom for Sue and Simon's bedroom. Downstairs, moving the staircase has made it possible to reconfigure the entire floor plan.
It's kind of still incredible to think that this is where your loo was. You can even see the exact position of it. Look at that, it's there.
You put your feet either side.
You've got a proper entrance hallway, and the whole thing just flows so much better now, doesn't it? I mean, it's nearly unrecognisable as a space, isn't it? You can see it already, actually, even at this stage. It's so easy to knock every wall out and go, let's go open plan, but it's about creating those zones where they can just really work for you and the family.
Definitely,
And it's a lot bigger space than, because I'm not very good at reading plans, so until things were actually built, I couldn't actually guess what size it was. So I actually thought it was going to be this tiny bit here.
Every time it's been a case of when they've built it, you've gone,
oh, wow.
That's fair enough. And when you're standing in the space now, with the walls taken out and the structural beams in, you can actually wander around and think, right, I get it now. That's going to go there, that's going to go there. That's how the space is going to flow.
To help Sue understand how Laura's trying to maximise the space, I'm taking her and Simon to visit a house that does this brilliantly.
So this is what's called the stealth house. Painted black and very, very contemporary.
It's amazing.
Even though the footprint of this house is just 8 by 10 metres, it's been so carefully designed, every bit of space is used.
Definitely not an ugly house.
No.
I like it.
But as beautiful as the exterior is, that's not why we're here.
Come on in. Very special house.
Oh, my gosh.
This is not a big house, actually. So a nice little simple hallway. I mean, this is the kitchen. Really simple, but loads of natural light.
Wow.
But the other thing is the fact that it's all open plan. But it's open plan in a clever way, because you feel like you're in a number of different zones. Kitchen, flowing through, dining area, through to living room.
Oh, wow, it's amazing.
It's great, isn't it? And even though this is the main living space that links to the garden, it then connects to a slightly separate snug, so it feels like it's a different area.
It feels a lot cosier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And clever use of space is not this house's only attribute. Inexpensive materials have been used creatively to give it a glossy finish. Polished plywood flooring, homemade MDF kitchen cupboards sprayed with car paint, even a stylish banister made from basic wood costing less than £30.
So I suppose the big question is, do you like it?
I didn't think it would be my cup of tea, but...
Why?
Because it's got everything in my head I think I don't like. Dark colours, dark kitchen, quite industrial feel, really. And if I was going to write a paragraph about my perfect house, that wouldn't be it.
I love that. No dark floors, no industrial, no painted doors of any dark colours, and I don't want a dark kitchen. But I really like that stuff that I've just seen today.
I can see myself living here, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could, definitely.
Yeah, well, you can't. But your house, I'm hoping, will be as beautiful as this.
Back home on the building site, it's hard to imagine getting to the stage of a finished house. And the strain on the family is beginning to show.
Where's my shoe?
They were in a box somewhere. Well, I've told you, you need to keep everything organised because we never find anything. It's not the building work as such is the problem. It's just the physical living here with 3 children. Duncan, sorry, is that plug OK to use where the kettle is to put the toaster in? Right, I'll do it. We go to my mum's most evenings because the hardest thing is doing a dinner because the boys work quite late. And as you can see, there's nowhere to sit. It's challenging, put it that way.
But a month in, builder Duncan is about to take a big step forward with the next of Laura's key design features, the staircase skylight.
Duncan, how's it going, mate?
How you doing?
You all right? Good to see you.
Yeah, and you?
So this is where the skylight's going to go?
It is indeed.
It's big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be good. We've got 3 panes of glass going over the stairwell to throw that light down there, and then we've got another section, 2 strips of glass, to throw where we've made that like, sort of internal bedroom to throw some natural light through into there.
Yeah, well, once all that's opened up and you cut through that felt, the light is just going to flood right down into that space, isn't it?
We're close, so yeah, it'll be awesome.
Fantastic. Great stuff, mate.
A key architectural tool, skylights allow in 40% more light than conventional vertical windows. Even a small skylight can be transformative, flooding a space with light.
Good light and space is fundamental to architecture and home living. And this home at the moment is so dark and dingy. I'm not surprised Sue and Simon are completely miserable living here.
Laura's stairwell skylight will be made up of 3 large panes of glass, with narrow frames that match the profile of the rafters exactly to allow in maximum light. At just under £800, it's both elegant and cost-effective. Its position directly over the stairs will allow light to penetrate the ground floor too.
This is the exciting bit. Really exciting. You think how dark and gloomy the space is at the top of the stairs on the landing, and hopefully, when he takes that horrible felt off, it's going to be beautiful and light. Look at that! Oh, what a change already. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, my God, look at it. It's amazing. Look at the light.
Fantastic. Oh, it really is fantastic. Do you know what? Even just standing there at the bottom of the stairs and looking up and seeing the clouds go by and everything. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? Thank you, Laura.
And this project is actually going really well. On time, on budget so far, but it's a stage of the build where you get lulled into a little false sense of security. Because knocking down walls, putting up a few stairs and building block work is actually the easy stuff. What takes a lot of time and eats up a huge amount of the budget is all the finishes. There's still a long way to go.
It's 6 weeks into the transformation of Sue and Simon's ugly house in Hertfordshire. But with just a month of the schedule left, progress on the outside seems slow.
Still not much difference on the brickwork, and it's still not looking good.
But inside, the builders have ripped out the entire ground floor and are now ready for the next phase of Laura's design.
How are you getting on?
Yes, not too bad.
It's come on leaps and bounds. It's amazing. It might look weird if these...
Laura's on site to oversee an exciting stage of the build, the installation of the bespoke windows.
Today, we're having pretty much all the new glazing in. So it's going to be a huge transformation, going from the old ugly house coming into this, a kind of rebirth of this amazing, new, beautiful, beautiful home.
At the front of the house, her plan is to completely reconfigure the 3 upstairs windows, bricking one up in the master bedroom and doubling the size of the other.
So just keep going up and then try and hook it onto the landing.
The new aluminium windows are larger and have a finer profile, more in keeping with the original 1960s design.
The geometry is so much more elegant. It's a really quick way to transform the front elevation.
At the rear of the house, the old 70s sliding doors have been removed to make way for large bifolding doors, which will help blur the boundary between inside and out.
To get that width and to get the amount of glass here to match the space and make it, you know, really feel as generous and light and wonderful as possible, it was important to get 3 together, a nice odd number, huge, big, individual doors. They just look fantastic.
Fewer but larger panes means wider expanses of glass, but this comes at a cost. At nearly £3,500, this is the biggest single expense on the build.
We all done, chaps? Brilliant.
They do give it the wow factor, don't they? Just having the big opening and the light coming in, it's just made a hell of a difference just to in there, really.
Now, Laura's changes to the glazing on the front of the house have made an enormous difference to how it looks, but none of that has come cheap. And she's still got to deal with what I think is one of the ugliest features of the building, and that's the brickwork. I'm keen to know how she's going to solve it.
The yellow bricks used to build the 80s extension were once highly fashionable, but their period pastiche appearance now feels tired and outdated. Laura's come up with a simple and inexpensive solution to improve it, using a black iron oxide to darken and tone down the brick.
So, Laura, we've got these bricks which some people might like, but I think when it's on that scale in this street, they're not great, are they? They're a bit too yellow.
They've got the kind of canary thing going on. So we're going to colour them, mute them down a little bit.
Look at that. You know, at first, people think, oh, hang on a minute, that's too dark, it's too dark, it's too dark. But as that dries out, you can see the way that it's sinking into the brick.
Because it attaches to the actual silica of the brick rather than just being a surface.
It's so nice.
Laura needs to decide how dark to go, and the only way to do that is by eye.
So if I hold this up against the house, there, what do you think? You're the boss.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. It's taking the yellow off, it's not getting too dark, it's perfect.
Her solution for Sue and Simon's house is about as cheap as it gets. To treat the entire facade will cost just £80.
We've had a go at just colouring the bricks. What do you think?
It's actually better than I thought it was going to be.
I think it's made quite a change.
It couldn't look any worse, really, could it? How long is that going to last for?
Forever. So even if you wanted to jet wash the house at a later date to clean it up, that wouldn't come off.
So Duncan's got to paint every brick?
Yeah. It's going to take me about 7.5 years.
In fact, it takes just one day. But inside, progress is slow, and the team are falling behind schedule.
Time is marching on, and there's still an awful lot to do. But I think because of the finishing on it, there's quite a lot of really beautiful carpentry to be done. So I was over-ambitious on my timings.
With the build slipping, any hope of finishing for the original budget of £50,000 is looking unlikely. In an attempt to claw back time, the builders are working long hours, so Sue's decided to move the family out.
It's just got to a stage where there's no hot water, the water's not on, there's no heating, and it's still quite chilly, isn't it? It's just got too difficult to live here, really.
Simon and Sue have rented a service flat at £120 a night, an expense they can ill afford.
I'm hoping that living here will just bring back a bit more normality.
Can I help?
Yeah. Do you want to put some water in that?
The best thing about living here is just being nice and tidy and just like a home.
With the family out of the way, the build gathers momentum. After a 3-week wait, the glazing for the skylight finally arrives and can be fitted.
Okay, Mark? Yeah, drill. It's over there.
Laura's designed it so that it sits between the roof trusses exactly, so it needs to be millimetre perfect.
Whenever you put rigid glass into something that's not particularly rigid, there's always, there's always that element of risk and worry. They look gorgeous.
With the house finally watertight, Duncan's able to bring in an army of plasterers. Finally, the space begins to resemble a dwelling again.
Now, this space is looking very, very smart. It looks good. Can you kind of visualise it now? Because you've always been worried that you couldn't see it.
Yeah, totally. Now I can see where all the spaces are going. I can see where maybe furniture will go differently, yeah.
This is the right stage of the project where you can start actually laying the space out, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
By removing the internal downstairs walls, Laura is reinterpreting open plan design. She also plans to give the downstairs space more flexibility by using clever partitioning to create different areas.
What I was thinking was that we could take part of this wall of the kitchen and make it rotate.
When it's open, Laura's rotating wall will allow the kitchen to feel connected to the main living space. But when closed, it'll create a more private zone. It's a novel idea, but building it takes time to get right. The wall will house a television and needs to be wired centrally so it can still rotate.
Good to have made my first rotating wall. That's another one ticked off the list.
But Duncan's even bigger challenge is the wooden floor, specially designed by Laura as a modern take on parquet. Running through the hall of downstairs, it's the key to making this zoned space feel connected. At just £10 a square metre, it's a quarter of the price of an off-the-shelf wooden floor.
Material cost is hugely better than buying everyday flooring off the shelf, but the implication is the cost then goes back up with the amount of labour that's involved in the machining of, the cutting of, the jointing and then the gluing down. But that's the thing with the one-off designs, you have to spend a bit of time over them and get them where they really need to be.
The floor takes almost 2 weeks to lay, and by the time it's finished, the build is a month behind schedule.
There are some really inventive ideas here, but because of the low budget, Laura's been forced to use some very inexpensive materials like plywood and MDF. So I suppose the big question is she going to be able to achieve the standard and quality of finish she's striving for to create a truly exceptional design? When I first met Simon and Sue, their 1960s detached house was an ugly, dysfunctional mess.
It was butchered in the 1980s with an awful yellow brick front extension, measly dark windows and a faux Victorian porch.
Now, with a budget of just £50,000, Laura promised to transform their home into a beautiful, light-filled space. Now, as an architect, I know that is a massive challenge, but I can't wait to see if she's pulled it off. Look at that. What a transformation. That really is brilliant, you know, to take something that was so tired and knackered and just make some very simple, elegant changes. That is really, really smart.
Laura has taken this building and peeled back its tired skin to reveal a house worth coming home to.
Morning, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really
so good to see you. Come on
you.
out. Hello.
Hello.
You look very tall up there on the step. So good to see you. This is fantastic, isn't it?
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
What a difference.
It's changed so much, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really is just very, very simple changes that when they all come together, it just works, doesn't it? You know, new windows, new glazing, the windows being grey rather than the brown. And I love the way that Laura's putting this little timber canopy across the top. It's a tiny little thin gesture, but it just ties the whole facade together, doesn't it? And the brickwork just looks so much better.
Oh my God, that was dreadful, wasn't it? Yellow.
One of the things we first said, wasn't it? When you walked up to the house, you were like, the dreadful yellow colour.
And you don't notice the roof so much anymore. It kind of looks like that's the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel about it now, looking at it from the outside?
It's gorgeous. I love it. Really love it.
It's like a new house. It's like someone's knocked the old one down and built a new one.
Oh, that's a good sign. Very, very good sign.
The transformation of the exterior is even more impressive when you consider it was completed for less than £5,000. But inside, it was the dysfunctional layout of this ugly house that demanded most attention. Cramped and dark, the rooms were poorly proportioned and disconnected.
Oh, that is fantastic.
By removing and reconfiguring the interior walls, Laura's created a bright urban plan living space with a sense of arrival.
You are now almost standing in the toilet.
What was the loo?
Blocking out everything.
It did. It was mad, wasn't it? And now that that's gone, the whole space just opens up, doesn't it? You can see everything. Staircase, kitchen. And it's here where you can make all the decisions about where
you're going to go, rather than the one-way traffic, which you used to have to do all the way through.
Yeah.
Such a difference, isn't it?
It's just so hard to remember how we lived, really, before this was all done. It's just crazy.
I mean, honestly, the change, spatially, is brilliant.
The key to making the ground floor work so well was to move the staircase.
This is my favourite space, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. The top of those stairs.
You're just going to sit up there
Yeah,
all the time?
I'm going to put a chair there eventually.
Longer just a staircase.
No,
it's
no.
smaller than that now, isn't it?
The way that Laura and the team on site did that skylight is just really clever. You know, leave the trusses in place. Yeah. All the rafters are all there. Paint them white. They become a nice feature, actually. I think it looks better with them in than if they were out. It becomes really the big light well for the entire house. You get all that lovely light coming right down on the first floor, down through the staircase, into the dining and living space.
By making the most of light and space, Laura's very much drawing on the best of mid-century design, epitomised by Californian architects of the time.
They had a kind of modernist, slick, elegant look that was light and bright, but had quality materials, so it had a richness to it, and it also felt really homely.
Laura has achieved this here by using a simple palette of inexpensive materials, like the plywood, to create the bespoke wooden floor.
It actually helps you get drawn through the space, actually. It gives it a little bit of direction, doesn't it, as you're walking through. Light bounces off it beautifully.
Exactly, the light comes through, doesn't it?
Beautiful, isn't it?
And it's sort of multicoloured in a way. Anyways, there's darkness, light, knots in it.
It's got a really nice richness to it as well, from a very affordable material. That's what's brilliant about it.
Throughout the house, Laura's attention to detail and her inventiveness is evident from her use of materials to the flexibility in which the space can be used.
And the snug is very smart. Really lovely, isn't it? To be able to do this... You can leave me in here if you want. Close that area off. It's really, really nice.
It's cool, isn't it?
Laura's bespoke folding door is not the only piece of clever partitioning that divides the area into connected zones.
This flexible, rotating wall by Laura is brilliant, I think, because it's not only a lovely thing. I mean, I love the finish in that MDF, but the genius bit is the fact that you can turn it. Look at that. If you've got friends around and it opens up the kitchen in this area a lot more.
Becomes one's own, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a much nicer sociable space there.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to close it off completely, you go back to there, close your kitchen door, never have to talk to each other ever again.
The revolving wall and open kitchen means it's no longer cut off from the rest of the downstairs.
You've got something which is spatially beautiful and architecturally beautiful for a really good, affordable budget. She's used materials like ply on the floor, on the tops, even on the side of the units, just to make it look like it's a cool, warm, modernist space.
The kitchen is now where it should be, at the heart of family living. Thanks to Laura's simple, ingenious idea of moving the stairs, and because they've been efficiently designed, more usable space has been created on the first floor. A good-sized room for Sue's son Max, and an ensuite bedroom for Sue and Simon.
Laura's actively made this room smaller.
Yeah. It was a huge bedroom with no storage, nothing. There wasn't a wardrobe in it, was there?
Two small lights. It didn't really let a lot of lighting.
There was 2 windows, wasn't there?
Yeah, now you've got one.
Changed. Everything's been condensed.
The new picture window not only creates a larger view, but also helps make the smaller bedroom feel spacious.
It's funny that you can make something smaller, but it works so much better.
By getting rid of the old, narrow bedroom, Laura has been able to create a luxurious ensuite bathroom.
I think she's got the balance right because it's really quite feminine but masculine at the same time. You know, because that wallpaper is quite a woman's sort of wallpaper.
Yeah.
I think with the darker panelling, it's brought it into a bit more masculine, isn't it?
I love the panelling.
Getting this house to work on both an aesthetic and functional level was always Laura's goal.
Hello.
Hello. Wow.
You pleased?
Are you pleased?
Oh, what do you think?
Over the moon.
You still get married?
Yes.
I love it.
Laura's transformed this house into a home that provides all the family with space to live, together and separately. But beautiful as the house is, it's taken 6 weeks longer than the 10-week schedule and gone 12 grand over their £50,000 budget.
What's been the biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest issues was spreading the budget as thinly as possible to make every single element work. That took an awful long time and it pushed our schedule.
You squeezed every single inch out of this house.
Obviously, this is the first time that you have worked with an architect.
Yeah.
Do you think everybody should?
Without a shadow of a doubt. We just wouldn't have ended up with what we've got if we'd just kind of thought about things ourselves and got a builder to do it. It just wouldn't have ever been like this.
We both like to sort of be in control of things.
Yes.
And in this instance, we've had to go, we put all our
Trust.
faith in you and obviously Duncan.
Yeah.
What difference do you think it'll make to you guys and the family unit together in what's now a home?
Well, I think for myself and the children, obviously Simon's now outside in an office, so we can kind of start living. We can have friends back, the kids can have friends back for tea, and, you know, this is the house of my dreams, and I feel like our family is kind of starting... I'm quite emotional, really, about it. You know, starting out afresh, so it kind of feels like life's kind of just starting, really.
A new chapter for this once ugly house is about to begin, as the pride of the neighbourhood.
And now it's got a whole new character. It's got personality. It looks more modern. The colours are great. The door, the garage, the garden, it all just is completely transformed.
To the new house, well, it's been transferred from a gloomy, unhappy house too, a happy home.
It has.
Well, I hope they're going to invite us in to have a look.
What Laura and her builder Duncan have done here is truly remarkable. They've taken what was once the ugliest house on the street and made it into the most elegant. With a modest budget, Laura's somehow managed to strip back its 1980s skin and rediscover the design ideals that were at the very heart of buildings like this when they were constructed in the 1960s. Laura has not only brought this house back to life, she's completely reimagined it for 21st century family living.
I feel a little bit embarrassed.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
It generally looks a bit dreary.
It's definitely not a looker.
Across the country, there are people stuck with an embarrassing problem.
You certainly wouldn't drive past and go, I want to live in that house.
It's a very tired house. It feels like it's gone.
And these aren't just the unlucky few. Thousands of us feel burdened with houses that are dated and dreary. But a fresh eye can transform even the ugliest house into a dream home.
I need to make this space exciting to create fantastic drama.
I'm giving the owners of some of Britain's ugliest houses the services of some of our most talented architects.
What I strive for, find the heart of the home, and it's just getting that back, getting the kind of the life and soul back.
With money tight,
I'm not hopeful about what we can get for that 50,000.
And ambitions high, delivering a vision that everyone will be happy with won't be easy.
I do have reservations about this.
For clients, chips away too much of the design. It starts to look very ordinary again.
But if they get it right, it'll prove that great architecture doesn't have to cost the earth.
I actually can't believe that we live in a house like this.
And has the power to transform not just buildings,
It's fulfilled our dreams, really.
but lives.
It's gone from dark to something wonderful.
It's so different.
It's as if someone's lifted our house out and put a new one in its place.
After World War I, Britain began a new social experiment to build council housing estates for working-class families. And one of the first was here, a leafy corner of Croydon in South London, where 20 houses were built around the Green in 1929.
Now, when you think of social housing, we tend to think of very large-scale, very impersonal council estates. But this estate, which is a lovely 1920s crescent, is something quite different. It feels slightly more of a human scale.
The council provided solidly built family homes on generous-sized plots, and the years have only enhanced their period character.
They're actually quite nice, until you get to this one.
Our house stands out on the street, and not for good reasons.
Dark, dank, ugly.
I pull up on the drive and I dislike it.
We need a bigger kitchen.
IT consultant Ali and administrator and part-time music teacher Denise bought this three-bedroom house 10 years ago for £225,000.
The house has been definitely experimented with, hasn't it? And probably by people who've experimented with hallucinogenic drugs in some ways, because they've a bit here, a bit more pebble dashing, a conservatory on the back.
Years of modification by previous owners have destroyed any charm it once had.
The original house is lost. There's no cohesion to the house, and it's very dark. It's a bit of a cave.
And with two growing children, Cameron and Maya, space is now also becoming an issue.
It's just everything is crammed into that conservatory. My piano is stuffed in a corner next to the washing machine.
But you can't sit in the kitchen diner because there's too much noise, so you can't partition it.
Our entire life seems to be in kind of a 5 metre by 2.5 metre space.
Good morning. Hello. How are you? So nice to see you.
How are you? All right.
Come on, let's have a look at your house from the outside. It's slightly different to the others on the street, isn't it?
Yeah, it stands out.
It's quite a sad state of affairs when you pull up to your own house, which you've probably worked really hard for,
We have,
borrowed lots of money against, drafted away, paying the mortgage off every month, and you walk going, I hate the look of my house.
Yeah.
What are the things that you dislike on the outside?
Pebble dash.
Porch, definitely.
Right. It's a shame because actually the style of these houses I quite like.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a nice, lovely domestic, homely feel to it. Bordering on being quite cottage-like. And then there's yours.
Yeah.
Don't hold back.
Can we go inside? Have a look?
Absolutely, yeah.
Come on in.
Home sweet home, eh?
Yep.
Yes.
You know what, I actually really understand why that porch is on there, though, because you're walking into an open plan space straight away, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
You come straight through the front door and you're in your living room. I mean, it's obviously quite dark.
Yeah. That's because they bricked up a window there and a window there.
Window there.
No.
But
it's
that's
quite
why it's
rare
gloomy.
that people make a decision to block up windows.
Yeah.
Someone obviously took out this wall at some point and they put the beams in, which gives it a country cottage feel. And
I was thinking more of a pub.
Oh, you may leave.
I think it's got to go.
It's got to go.
And we don't also have a separate room. Everything's open plan.
Yeah. How many kids have you got?
2. And one's a teenager and they travel in packs. So the 10 come over and, you know, where do we sit in our room?
Yeah.
When your kids are small, this open plan living is the
great.
best thing ever.
Yeah.
So when they're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, you keep an eye on them all the time. As soon as there's a teen involved, open plan living becomes carnage.
The original layout would have had 3 rooms downstairs with windows on the side. But these have been bricked up and walls knocked out to create one open space. In addition, a flimsy conservatory has been added at the back.
You've got everything in here, haven't you?
Yeah, except the kitchen sink. We've got the tumble dryer, the washing machine, the piano, the art space, the sheet music storage, the kitchen storage, the desk. Yeah, pretty much everything, really.
You've even got the Queen in here.
But behind this mayhem lies a space with enormous potential.
I'll tell you what, though, first walking out, is your garden. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's great, actually.
It's because it's on the corner. It's corner plot. There's a huge amount of unused space here, and
of course, the things that you could do with this are really exciting.
Yeah.
Really, really exciting.
Upstairs, the unaltered 1920s layout has a bathroom and 3 bedrooms, 2 doubles and a small single.
This is the kids' second room. This is just too small. This is a great example of a house that's been knocked around so many times over the years to the point where it's really lost its identity. It's forgot about what it is, really. So what is your budget?
120,000.
120,000? Yeah. That's not a small amount of money. That's not like spending 30 grand on a bit of work in a new kitchen. No. Just how big a commitment is it for you guys as a family?
It's everything. It's a lot.
Denise and Ali's ex-council house is a bit like an old, sad suit. But back in its day, it would have been someone's Sunday best, worn with pride. What it needs now is someone with vision who can see beyond its tattered facade and rediscover the special qualities it had when it was first built.
Jo Cowan runs her own practice and has also worked for Richard Rogers' partnership, Rogers Stirk Harbour, on buildings that are strikingly modern. But her expertise is not confined to the new.
I absolutely love working with period houses. I feel that there's a real history with them. I feel that there's been so many families that have lived with them, changing them, adapting them. This house is the prime example. What we've done is we've really respected the fabric of the original building, and then on top of that, layered in something that's very modern and really interesting and really opens up how the house can be used.
But to show that her approach can also transform the humblest of council houses, Jo's volunteered to take on Ali and Denise's house.
There's a lot of problems with this house, both the way it looks and the way it functions. One of the things I'd really like to do is to strip back all those kind of layers of additions and actually bring out the beautiful house underneath. Bringing that light through, whilst also organising the space, is going to be one of our biggest challenges. We're looking at effectively this, which is the sun path coming round. And what we want that light to do is effectively trickle all the way through to here. So you really do get a space that's washed with light from front to back.
I'm excited to see what she comes up with.
I'm not saying I'm fussy, but...
But we want a lot. We want the world.
2 weeks later, Joe has come up with a design for Ali and Denise's house for their budget of £120,000. And I can't wait to see it.
Coming up with a brilliant design takes hard work, skill, and a huge amount of imagination. For me, it's the most exciting part of being an architect. You really hope that you've nailed the client's brief. And more than anything, you want to create something that they love. So, Joey, you've got 2 very nervous but excited clients here, I think. Very nervous.
You've got a nervous architect here as well. So even with all the ability to extend, we've got a lot to fit in. You needed spaces that could be flexible. You wanted light that connected the front to the back. A lot of the options I'm giving you today, we're going to have to treat a little bit like a menu because we will not be able to achieve everything in your budget. So if I start you on the plan for the ground floor.
Joe is proposing that they take advantage of the generous garden and create a large glass extension, almost doubling their living space, allowing light to flood the entire ground floor. Her idea is to use a metal-framed glazing system called Crittle for the extension and also internally to separate the central kitchen dining room from a new study and private snug. Key to the design, every internal element will line up with the frames of the Crittle glazing to give the downstairs visual unity. To address the ugly facade, Joe's next plan is to render over the pebble dash, knock down the shoddy porch and replace it with a sleek modern one that mirrors the architecture of the rear extension.
I have to say, I really like this.
Yeah,
I do really like this.
I like it. It's industrial look as well.
I think the internal glazing's brilliant.
Yeah,
really
I've
good.
Never seen anything like it. The Crittle system works for me.
For us, it's about understanding your priorities. I mean, I'm a mum, and I know what you need in terms of space.
Yeah.
I mean, your children are getting older and older, meaning that they're going to want their own space within the house. So going to the first floor, this is quite radical, and it really comes down to that loft space.
To give the family more space, Joe has gone beyond the original brief and come up with an additional option for upstairs. Her idea is to open up the loft to create a new bedroom, allowing the first floor to be reconfigured to make 2 larger size rooms.
Your upstairs bit, I'm blown away with.
So, Joe, this is all brilliant. Do you think they can deliver all of this for their budget?
No, is the short answer.
How much over our budget is it?
We haven't done full costings, but I would say you're about 35% over your budget. So you'd be looking at 150 to 160,000 all in. What we wanted to do today was to show you all the possibilities, to give you that opportunity to choose where you did spend your money.
This is a house that is in desperate need of some creativity, and Jo has come with that in abundance. She's come up with a fantastic scheme, I think, but one of the problems when you see such a good project and you've got clients like Ali and Denise is that they want everything, absolutely everything. The space, the light, the extra bathrooms, the bigger bedrooms. And the problem is you can't always have everything, so they've got some really tough decisions to make.
Tucked away on this homely ex-council estate on the outskirts of London, there's one house that has definitely seen better days.
The outside to me is pretty ugly. It feels like it's gone, here I am.
This damning assessment is shared by others in the Crescent.
It does stand out a bit, not in keeping with the rest of the road.
The house may not fit in, but Denise and Ali are reluctant to move.
It is in a very good location.
Surrounded by green fields, hectares of woodlands.
All the neighbours are lovely, and we've got the green out the front that the kids can kind of play on.
The Crescent has its own personality. It's a little community. Everybody looks after each other.
Some of the neighbours have grown up here all their lives.
I've lived at the Crescent for 75 years. I was born at number 8. There's a nice green in front here, so you're off the main road. What more do you want? Once upon a time, see, all the children around here used to play football on the green and cricket.
The Crescent may still be thriving as a community, but years of home improvements have taken their toll on Denise and Ali's house.
The original house is lost under people's experimentation. You don't walk in and feel that it flows anymore.
To breathe fresh life into the house, architect Joe Cowan has come up with 2 options for Denise and Ali to choose from. The first, a ground floor extension. The second, a complete renovation of the entire house, which will cost £40,000 over their £120,000 budget. Denise and Ali have decided to go for the whole lot.
The original budget was 120,000, and that was to do all of the extension work and all of the
downstairs
the downstairs
wasn't it?
piece,
Yeah.
So we've added on top of that money to do the
Added
loft.
about 40 grand.
Huge amount of work. I mean, it was a massive decision.
Yeah, because it's involving upping mortgages and going down routes we weren't particularly going down before. I think we took the decision that we just won't move for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what we end up with here is a space that's just an awful lot more usable for us as a family, and then when the kids go, we can argue over their bedrooms for our own personal studies.
With the whole house being renovated, Denise and Ali are moving the family out into a flat nearby.
I really need a third hand, you know?
To make sure it hits its 4-month schedule, Joe's brought on one of our most trusted contractors, master builder Zed Wojciech.
It's going to be part of the loft.
As soon as his team starts stripping back the walls and ceilings, they discover a problem.
Unfortunately, we uncovered that the existing steel is too small to support the upper floor, so we're going to replace it with a big one. This steel needs to be replaced as well.
At £1,000 each, the new steels might be an unwelcome cost, but are crucial to create the support for the large opening for the extension.
Seb, how's it going? Good to see you. You all right? An important bit of steel work. You know what? As much as this stuff might look really boring, just lengths of steel, these are the skeleton of the new building, and these allow us to make smaller openings into much bigger openings, and allow us to take out lots of internal walls to make the architectural space so much more exciting. Without them, we can't get a great house. Does it fit?
Yeah.
Fits like a glove. Perfect.
For Denise and Ali, now that the opening for the new extension has been created, they can start to get a sense of how it will open up the entire ground floor plan.
So not quite home sweet home, but it's certainly moved on. What a space this is.
This is our kitchen diner, and considering this used to be our kitchen diner, that is... I am actually getting a little bit excited now.
Yeah, no, this is really cool.
I mean, it's nearly doubling the amount of space.
Yeah.
To help maximise every centimetre of this massive new space, Joe is using a classic design technique.
We effectively carve up the plan into a grid, which allows us to order a series of spaces through the building.
Jo's basing her grid on the centrepiece of her design, the huge crystal windows. Every internal element will line up with the metal frames, creating a series of harmonious spaces. But to create the space needed for Jo's design, Seb and his team had to rip the entire house apart and dig out tons of earth, revealing an expensive problem. The old garden wall was unsupported.
It was a massive extra because it's, as you can see, there was a huge amount of underpinning. So that was an additional that, you know, had to be done.
Dealing with the wall has cost £3,600 and it's just one of the many unforeseen expenses that's now pushing them over their £160,000 budget.
We found a huge amount of mould behind the walls, so we had to strip the plaster off. That was a huge job.
We spoke to quite a few people and they just said, just clad it.
On the outside,
Yeah.
so
So
wrapping
that-
it.
Yeah. So
that's a big job.
That's a big
It's
job.
huge.
So it's things
and then
like that.
once you go down that route, you think, OK, we've got to replace the windows. We've basically rebuilt the house. You know?
Yeah, you have completely rebuilt the house, and the fact that you're going to wrap it on every single wall and replace the windows. I mean, you look at it now, all you've got is a few roof timbers, a few roof tiles, and two walls.
2 walls. Yeah.
And that's going, so it's 1.5 walls.
Yep.
So where's the rest of the money come from?
Begged, borrowed and stolen.
Literally,
pretty much.
we can remortgage in October. So
It's been a lot of sleepless nights. I mean,
Yeah.
2 or 3 months of really not sleeping, permanent worry. It's stretched financially.
Denise and Ali are investing heavily in their ex-council house. To reassure Denise that her sleepless nights will pay off, I'm taking her to see a house I hope will inspire her.
Now, the house I want to show you has had a major change, outside and inside. This is what the house was like.
Like Denise's home, this ex-council house was built in the 1920s, but has been extended and totally reconfigured.
And look at it now.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Very big, very bold. It's pretty incredible.
I feel much better about what we're doing to our ex-council house now, actually seeing this. It does actually work.
In terms of the detail of it, you can see where it's been re-rendered on the outside, which you're going to do.
Yeah.
So come on in. Very contemporary entrance hallway. Lovely new staircase. They actually moved the stair as well to make the house work even better. But I really want to show you the kitchen. Very open plan, very light kitchen.
This is very creative, this whole space, isn't it?
Just as with Joe's design, the kitchen is at the heart of this home.
Window seat's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, I love it.
Especially when you've got a nice little bay window like this.
Yeah.
And the different spaces are carefully aligned.
I mean, spatially, well, I think it's great. You can look all the way down this space to the living room. And it's just really nice how it flows through. So it feels like very separate zones.
I like this.
And that's just the simplest architectural move ever. This is the line of the old original house here. And everything to the right-hand side is new. So they've just put a strip of glass in. It gives that distinction between old and new. Old house this side, new stuff that side. And then big door, huge sliding door opening out onto the courtyard. And then you go through this lovely courtyard space, which I think is fantastic, actually.
As with Denise's home, this house is built on a generous plot, allowing them lots of room to extend and create a connection between inside and out.
It's like having another room on the house.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the whole place?
Hey, it's fantastic.
I know you spent all the money that you could ever possibly imagine.
We don't talk about that.
Denise and Ali are making a huge commitment to build a family home for Cameron and Maya to grow up in for years to come.
I just say, it looks like we've got, like, from, like, World War I.
Oh, the trenches,
Yeah, trenches. I'm in my kitchen. I'm in! Oh, out, oh, out, oh, out. You sure it's safe?
By opening up the loft room to create a new room for Maya, Joe's been able to reconfigure the first floor to create 2 larger bedrooms.
It will be nice on this floor just having 2 bedrooms. I'm liking the feel of the extra space that gets created up here in the landing area, definitely. Look up.
That's my room.
That's your room?
It's quite big.
Yeah.
So she's basically going to be technically in her old room. It's just bigger and it's higher up.
And she's going to be away from you.
Yes!
For Denise, keeping on top of such a big build as well as working is becoming all-consuming.
All right, bye. Got a box over there of things I have to attend to. I've got another box of things I have attended to. So, I mean, anybody who's ever done this will tell you it's just endless.
I hardly have seen her a lot of the time because she's working on this so much. She seems a little tired, so I think she needs a little bit more sleep.
Back at site, all the hard work is paying off as the walls for the new extension start to take shape.
What an incredible transformation already, look at it. Footings are in.
But the most intensive stage of this build is only just beginning.
Once the spaces are formed and you've got to start putting everything back, that's when it takes a long time. And actually, that's when you start spending most of your money. Plumbing, plaster, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, painting, decorating, joinery work. That's the expensive stuff.
For their growing family. But for one resident who's lived here all his life, private space was not the norm.
My two brothers, we all slept in the same room. Three brothers in one bedroom. So I slept with my brother in the double bed, and my younger brother had the single bed. Today, they expect every child to have their own room.
Despite her ballooning budget, Denise's expectations for her home include a state-of-the-art kitchen.
This whole thing here is my kitchen, cupboards, floor. We have a budget for the kitchen. It's not very much. I just don't think we really considered the actual kitchen design too much at the beginning, and as we've gone further into the build, it's become quite apparent we do need something of a certain standard, that it doesn't let down the rest of the house, really. So we have decided to throw a little bit more money into the kitty and actually go to a proper designer.
Hello. Hello, Denise.
The new kitchen will be the central feature of the downstairs layout, so Denise wants it to look good.
I went for a larger island. It's a very big island. You had a hob extractor.
I really like that, actually.
Your extractor has a light.
If you turn it on, will it have a switch?
You've got the remote control. It's lovely.
Liking it all.
I like it more.
I'm loving that, and I now feel like I've got a really big kitchen.
And you do have a very big kitchen.
I do.
But I'm worried Denise and Ali are letting their costs climb well over their original £120,000 budget. So I've arranged to meet them at the flat they're staying in during the build.
How much did you budget for your original kitchen in the original scheme?
I think it was 5,000 plus an extra figure for fitting.
How much are you spending now?
A bit more than that.
A bit more than that.
Oh, come on. You can't just give me that.
I reckon it'll be about 17 in total by the time it's all finished.
How much is the predicted spend? Painted and decorated, livable.
It could hit about 180.
I think probably more. Without your kitchen and your flooring and some other finishes, you're pushing 200,000 quid.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it has caused a lot of sleepless nights, if I'm honest.
Is all of this worth it?
Yes, absolutely. Stressful, and we're borrowing a huge amount. But I would say we're building a forever house. We're not building something that in 2 years' time we want to sell and move out and go and live somewhere else.
You haven't answered.
Yes, but I am nervous. I am really nervous, if I'm honest, really.
Denise and Ali are taking a big gamble investing so much into this house, but it's too late to turn back now. Seb and his team are erecting the giant steels that will form the frame for the new extension. And it's huge.
So we just finished fitting the steels. This is the last which is go on. And basically we are now ready to build the external walls and build a roof on top of the extension.
The team push on to get the shell of the extension watertight, but they're up against the weather.
we are not doing great. We have some rainfalls, which is slowing us down. When it's raining, basically you cannot work with this stuff because it's not gonna be completely waterproof. So we're gonna finish that before it starts raining again.
With the house watertight, the ceiling will be installed. And a few days later, Ali visits site to view progress.
Hey, what I love about it is the ceiling downstairs. Before, in the old house, we had 2 steel beams that protruded into the room. Now it's just one beautiful flat ceiling, and you can come in through the front door and you can just look straight through right out into the back garden. So I think from an architectural point of view, it's amazing. It's a huge transformation.
With work steaming ahead at the back of the house, it's time to tackle the most ugly element of the facade, the pebble dash.
Well, funnily enough, this is something I'm actually getting very excited about because the thing I hate most about my house is how it actually looks.
You all right there, mate? How's it looking?
Yeah, it's good, mate.
The pebble dash is going to be wrapped in a layer of insulation and a final coat of white render.
I would say getting the outside done is like getting your hair done. It's, you know, you pull up onto the drive and it's like, oh, I'm home, because it looks lovely. Whereas I've always felt I pulled up on the drive and thought, oh, I live here.
Rather than strip off the pebble dash, Ali and Denise are wrapping it in a skin of new insulation.
It's actually super simple. You see above here, there's the existing pebble dash in all of its glory. Not looking very good. And you just get big sections of insulation, polystyrene basically, wrap it around the outside, little stud fixings through there. These brace it all together, and then it's rendered over the top. It's just like putting a big, thick winter jacket on.
These days we may be keen to cover it up, but pebble dash was fashionable at the end of the 19th century, popularised by the arts and crafts movement. But by the 1920s, it was heading down market, as builders used it to cover up poor quality brickwork. It takes a whole week for Denise and Ali's pebble dash to be wrapped up, rendered and painted. I'm interested to see what impact it's made.
Look at this, what a transformation on the outside. All of that very bobbly, slightly ye-olde looking pebble dash is now a very smooth, contemporary white render. And it's all insulated under there as well. A nice, smart, warm, modern house. Morning, gents. How are you? Yeah, thanks. That's looking very smart. Very smart indeed. Morning. How are you? So I'm too busy looking at the house. It was great, isn't it?
It's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
What
really good.
a difference.
Yeah.
The pebble dash has gone.
Yeah.
It's much smoother. It's much smarter.
Yeah.
And
it's more contemporary.
And it's thermally clad.
And you can feel the temperature difference inside already.
Yeah. How are you feeling about this? Obviously desperate to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I'd say this last bit is probably quite stressful. But seeing the work that, the guys are doing now, it's really taking shape and it's transforming. So it's on the final
I chose
run.
curtains yesterday.
You picked curtains?
I know, got to that stage. I'm loving that.
You're on the home straight?
Yeah. And it's in a funny kind of way, the glass being the last thing that goes in is becoming quite exciting because that is the main feature of Joe's whole design.
And everything's going to feel bigger because once you've got all this glass in, it's going to look staggering. It's hard to get a feel for it now because you've got all of your lovely black plastic sheeting up there. When you get all this off, what a difference that'll make.
It will literally be, let there be light.
Yeah,
and there is.
Take this off, the light will flood through. It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
It'll be brilliant.
I know.
Absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to see it.
Joel plans to use a metal-framed window system called Crittle, not only to create the external wall of the extension, but also as a room divider internally, allowing light to flood into the entire ground floor.
What we're hoping to see when you walk into this house is this beautiful series of glass Crittle walls. Glass boxes sat within a black metal frame, which highlights a sequence of views, firstly from the living room, then through to the kitchen, and then across that very large rear expanse and into the garden.
Joel's use of crittle harks back to the original windows used in these houses when first built. Back then, they were single glazed and notoriously cold. But today, crittle is produced as double glazed units and back in fashion, mainly for commercial buildings. With its slim profile frames, it's also an elegant way of creating a glazed wall in a house. Which is what Joe has designed for Denise and Ali's new extension. And 2 weeks later, the first of the glazing arrives.
Really big, exciting day on site today. The internal glass partitions are going up. Really nice architectural device to give you flexibility to close off a space and open it up when you need it to. But the most exciting part of this entire project is when the huge glass wall is built into the new elevation. That's when this very ordinary, ugly house comes to life.
Over the next week, as the interior starts to come together, the glazing for the back of the extension is fitted, pane by pane. All £21,000 of it. And a new door promises to transform the front of the house into one that Ali and Denise will be proud to come home to. But even so, not everyone's convinced it's all been worthwhile.
Oh dear, oh dear. I watch all the housing programmes on TV. You only spend money on a property if you're going to make money. But you won't make no money on this house because it's ex-council.
When I first came here to see Denise and Ali's home, it was a tired and sad, dysfunctional mess. And over the years, it had been slowly strangled by really ugly alterations and additions.
A flimsy characterless porch tacked onto the front and the coating of ugly pebble dash had destroyed its 1920s facade.
It needed a bold vision from an architect with a real sympathy for old buildings. Joe Cowan's challenge was to resurrect the 1920s house and transform it into a spacious, beautiful and light-filled home. Now that it's finished, I'm intrigued to see if she's pulled it off. Look at that. What a transformation.
The crisp white facade sits proudly but modestly on the street, while the clean lines of the porch hint at what lies beyond.
Hello. Good morning. Come on out.
Good morning.
Lovely to see you.
And
you well?
Yeah, very
Hello,
well.
mate.
How are you doing? All right.
You guys must be absolutely thrilled.
Very. Oh, over the moon.
Brilliant.
Over the moon.
You've done it.
Yeah.
Not just us, there's a lot of people.
A lot of a mini army, in fact.
Yes.
But it looks crisp, it looks fresh. And different, but not kind of radically different, is it?
No.
You haven't gone super contemporary with the front.
No, that's what I quite like about it. It still fits in with the rest of the street and it's quite discreet about what's actually inside. I love that. And I'm not embarrassed now.
I was just about to say, you were very ashamed of this house
anymore.
before.
No, absolutely love it. It's unassuming from the outside compared to what's behind the front door.
Should we go inside? Have a look?
Oh, yes.
Come on, you lead the way.
All right, then.
Inside, this house was starved of light. A leaky plastic roof conservatory served as a utility-cum music room. While upstairs, the kids were growing too big for their bedrooms.
Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No. The space just opens out in front of you.
Joe's crittle wall and extension allows a view all the way through to an entirely re-landscaped garden and light into the ground floor.
I actually feel like I'm in a completely different house. There's no part of the old house here.
I have to say, it's so different. Yeah. It is absolutely beautiful.
It really is. It's quite brave and bold to put the windows in like you have the internal glazed screens.
Yes.
because there is always a risk it might feel a little bit commercial. You know, a little bit like an office space, you know, with little separate meeting rooms.
Well, that was my big fear, that this was all going to look a bit industrial, and it just really doesn't.
It doesn't at all, does it? The walls are flowing through, the ceiling's running through level.
Yeah.
It just opens the whole thing up.
It's totally transformed this whole area. This is a room the kids can sit in. We can sit out there, shut the door, or have it all open. Best of
And we
both
can
worlds.
see what they're doing.
Let's go through your wonderful doors. So beautiful, aren't they? To what looks like quite a pricey kitchen.
Denise's kitchen sits proudly right at the centre of the new living space.
I have to say, this is a lot over its budget.
How much, roughly? Come on. I'm going to squeeze this out of you.
It was about 25.
25,000 quid.
Yeah.
That's £20,000 over what they'd originally budgeted.
Every time I look to kind of like cheaper options, you're just thinking it is the one thing you see from wherever you are.
This is our entertaining space. This is where we want people around. We've got queues of people inviting themselves over for dinner. And that's great, because it's what we want.
And then through all of it, what you can't escape anywhere is your garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With about 9 metres of crittle spanning the whole of the outside of the house.
One big, enormous picture window. In fact, there's many little pictures because you've got framed in all these little sections. It's a lovely thing. Really, really lovely. And it's a brave move to put the kitchen in the middle. Honestly, it really is. Because sometimes people feel like it might plug the space a little bit.
Yeah.
But because of the way that you guys live, and you wanted the kitchen to be the dominant thing, it works. And you've got enough space to be able to flow around it on either side.
Yeah.
Get through to the garden.
It really has opened it up, because the garden was never, ever part of the house. Now it is part of it.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. And do you know what? You're not only just looking out to your garden through that enormous expanse of glass, but you're looking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very happy.
The extension not only stretches the whole width of the back of the house, but to the side too, creating an extra room for work and for Denise to teach in.
What do you call this? Music room? Study?
Study.
Music room.
I call it study.
Love it. One each. That's absolutely fine. What a beautiful space.
Oh, it's lovely.
You've got so much room. Lovely desk, great place to sit, lovely place for you to do music.
I've actually got the physical space to teach now.
Yeah.
And at the same time, while you're here, you're looking at the garden all the time.
It is beautiful.
Can we see the rest of the house?
Yes.
Come on, let's go upstairs. So this has all changed. It's only a whole new first floor, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Upstairs, Joe has cleverly reconfigured the original floor plan to make space for 2 larger bedrooms and a refurbished bathroom.
So this is master bedroom?
Yes.
Which is very smart. A proper grown-up master bedroom.
We've got a nice view out of the window.
And it's all been made possible by moving Maya's bedroom into the loft.
What's fabulous about this is it's given you so much more extra floor space that you really wanted.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's great. I mean, everything's just become bigger. More floor area.
Yeah.
We wanted a house that the kids can stay until they're, mid-20s or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, you've reconfigured the entire house, haven't
Yeah.
you? I mean, you really have.
Yeah.
Every single square millimetre of this house has been done.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's sections in the roof that haven't.
Some of the tiles, maybe, yeah.
That's about it.
That is it.
Joe's transformed every bit of this house, doubling the living space. But the real star of the show is at the back.
And then really, kind of the moment I've been waiting for, I have to say, has been able to walk out to your garden, turn, there it is.
Yeah.
In all of its glory.
It's beautiful.
You can just tell it's been well considered, well planned and well designed because it's all on a grid.
Yeah.
Joe's literally designed a grid system, so every single one of those frames kind of runs through and ties in with everything behind it. It just feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
I actually still can't believe that we live in a house like this. I feel very, very blessed to be able to live in a house like this. I really do.
The clever and sympathetic reimagining of this house is thanks to architect Joe Cowan. Her vision and Denise and Ali's willingness to go over their original budgets have turned it into a home that works for all the family.
So, Joe, are you happy with it?
Extremely happy with it. I think you have to always remember what this house was. You know, we are taking a house that's quite run down and giving it a new lease of life.
It got bigger and bigger and bigger.
It started off with an amazing, beautiful design, which then led us on to doing so many other bits and pieces that we hadn't really factored in.
It was one of those things where you kind of went, right, take a deep breath, I'm just going to have to go with this.
An architect is always going to challenge the stereotypes of what you think you want.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to push you as hard as we can, you know, to effectively create something that's beautiful. And it's not necessarily what you would have initially thought about.
Yeah.
So, final number, what did you spend?
We're now over 200.
Over £200,000?
Yeah.
And it does make sense. If you think every year we probably spent a few £1,000s here, a few £1,000s there doing stuff, and we've just done it in one hit, which is why it feels so... But I'm not planning on buying anything. I
spent too much on the kitchen.
I just hope you like everything in this house because it's staying.
But even though that's a big investment, you have done the entire house.
Yes.
Everything.
We've really...
Everything. It's an investment worth making, isn't it? Seriously, in terms of quality of life for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's would not have it any other way.
When Jo first presented her designs for a beautiful extension, Denise and Ali were given a tantalising glimpse of what their former council house could become. They were so seduced by Jo's vision, they took the brave step of refashioning every single square inch of their home. Now, somehow, Jo managed to balance their soaring ambition with her original design, breathing new life into this old house, while at the same time celebrating some of the special qualities it had when it was first built.
I feel a little bit embarrassed.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
It generally looks a bit dreary.
It's definitely not a looker.
Across the country, there are people stuck with an embarrassing problem.
You certainly wouldn't drive past and go, oh, I want to live in that house.
It's a very tired house. It feels like it's gone...
And these aren't just the unlucky few. Thousands of us feel burdened with houses that are dated and dreary. But a fresh eye can transform even the ugliest house into a dream home.
I need to make this space exciting to create fantastic drama.
I'm giving the owners of some of Britain's ugliest houses the services of some of our most talented architects.
What I strive for, find the heart of the home, and it's just getting that back, getting the kind of the life and soul back.
With money tight...
I'm not hopeful about what we can get for that 50,000.
And ambitions high, delivering a vision that everyone will be happy with won't be easy.
I do have reservations about this.
If a client chips away too much of the design, it starts to look very ordinary again.
But if they get it right, it'll prove that great architecture doesn't have to cost the earth.
I actually can't believe that we live in a house like this.
And has the power to transform not just buildings...
It's fulfilled our dreams, really.
...but lives.
It's gone from dark to something wonderful.
It's so different.
Most people want a nice house, and there's nice, and then there's this.
In the 60s, as Britain recovered from post-war austerity, we needed homes like never before. The solution? Street after street of mass housing on enormous new estates.
This estate in Berkshire, like so many others across the country, were built to meet the burgeoning demand for affordable family homes. And they did the job. But one of the problems is they all look the same.
Over 600 homes were built here from just a handful of blueprints. Cheap to build and cheap to buy, they were average homes for the average 60s family. Like this 3-bedroom semi, now home to Rachel and James.
It blends in with everything else. It doesn't have anything that jumps out at you that says, you know, this is where Rachel and James live.
at the risk of offending everybody else on the estate, it's just so ordinary.
And they're not the only residents who feel this way.
But they are fairly square and plain. They're sort of pretty functional, really.
All the bricks look the same, all the hanging tiles look the same, the windows all look the same.
You come onto the estate and you're lost in the maze of houses.
George, are you ready to go?
Mum, get up.
You'll have to put your Crocs on. Where are your Crocs?
Rachel and James live here with their 2 boys, George 9 and Ted 6.
Where's your helmet? Are you warm enough?
They bought the house 9 years ago, and at £220,000, it was the best they could get in this sought-after area.
In terms of what this house had, it was somewhere that had enough bedrooms. It was in a lovely area.
Yeah, the area. We primarily bought it for the area because it is a really good area.
It is rural with a lot of open space.
See, the daffodils are coming out.
Take Daddy on.
In 2010, teacher Rachel and IT manager James took a 3-year posting to Australia that opened their eyes to a whole new way of living.
Every property that you go in Sydney is different, you know, from each other, and friends of ours live in sort of quirky individual houses.
We were spoiled, weren't we?
We were spoiled because we had a nice big house. It was just huge, and it was mostly open plan, wasn't it? When we came back from Sydney, this felt really small. When people come to stay, it's just a squash.
They added an extension, but it's only made things worse.
We are to blame for that.
Got some funny little bit of side corridor that doesn't go anywhere, and, you know, it could be so much better than it is.
Rachel.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you. How are you, James?
Hello,
You well?
George. Pleased to
Come on
meet
out. Are you well? What's wrong with this house?
It's not big enough for us and just not very exciting.
I suppose one of the things is it looks like every other house on the street, doesn't it?
It does. It's got no individual sort of character.
Why don't you just move to a bigger house?
To be honest with you, we can't afford to move to a 4-bedroom house in this area.
So stay where you are and make it into the home that you already want.
That's right.
It sounds like a good plan to me.
Hopefully, yeah.
Can we go and have a look inside?
Yeah, of
Come on,
course.
lead the way.
Okay.
Why have you got 2 doors, by the way? I've just noticed that. That's quite random. There's a door there and a door there.
Yes. Yeah. So we've done some internal modifications to give us a little bit more space. It seemed really good on paper, gave us front to back access without going through the rest of the house.
And it was kind of cheap and cheerful at the time when we needed it.
Can we go inside?
Absolutely.
Go, lead the way. After you.
So this is the living room.
It's not too bad. So what are the main problems with the interior spaces?
Because we can't walk straight through from the front there, we sort of, it's just like one big corridor, really, and we just...
You have to go through every room to get to the next one.
Go around. It's just annoying.
The classic 60s layout features a lounge diner, but there's no direct access from the hallway to the kitchen. And the poor circulation on the ground floor is only compounded by the extension to the side of the house.
You come in through the front door,
Yeah.
through the hallway, and the first thing you do is just cut right
Yeah.
down the space, don't you?
Yeah.
To try and get through to the kitchen.
And
So it
it's
is just
awkward.
one corridor.
Yeah.
Can we go and see the kitchen?
Yeah, through like a corridor. And even this bit is
Even
kind of...
this is like a corridor.
Yeah.
It really is, actually. It winds all the way around.
Yeah. So, and again, yeah, so a nice open kitchen that goes to dining is what we would like, really. And then, of course, you've got the ultimate corridor down.
And this is the bit that you kind of infilled
Yeah.
to connect the garage to the main house.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then it just goes on, doesn't it? This really long corridor. We've just done a mini loop. That's mad. You live in a corridor.
And the shortest way to get upstairs is back through the front door.
I shouldn't really laugh about your house, but you kind of in through the door.
Upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms. One for Rachel and James, one for visiting grandparents, and a porky room shared by George and Ted.
Yeah, you can see why they need the extra room. 2 boys, squeezed in here in the bunk bed. Bunk bed right up against the window as well. It's a tiny room, actually. And their boys aren't getting any smaller. So what's your budget for the project?
So
I love that look. That kind of
defer the financial question. Yes, we're looking up to 60,000.
Okay.
So 60,000 plus a little bit of contingency if we need it.
Is that quite a big commitment for you guys?
It is, because it's a good chunk of extra mortgage repayments each month, but it's, you know, it's manageable.
You've thought it through, haven't you?
It's been a while coming. Yes.
You know what? This project is not straightforward at all. It's actually quite a difficult and challenging brief. For just £60,000, Rachel and James not only want to untangle all the problems with their existing home and add more space, but they also want something very unique and distinctive. Now, that's going to take someone with not just a lot of talent, but a lot of imagination too. I've decided to team Rachel and James up with East London-based architect Ed Lipton, who excels at transforming high-end properties with cutting-edge urban glamour.
So the thing that's great about this house is the sheer scale of it.
Although Ed specialises in multi-million-pound projects, his ethos is very simple.
Architecture is about making spaces that improve people's lives, and also architecture should be playful. I think the work that I produce is distinctive. I am good at bold design. I like to play with colour and the lighting. Architecture gives me the opportunity to change the way people live their lives in a way that they haven't even dreamt of. They start to think differently about the way that they get up in the morning. So that's the original building.
To prove it's possible to create an inspiring home from even the most nondescript house, Ed is volunteering his services to Rachel and James, from design through to the build.
Staircase is where we need it to be, but it's this circulation that we've got to sort out. That meandering through the house, which is just terrible for our client. If we can sort that out, I think they'll just feel much more comfortable in their building, because they'll have more space. It will feel like more space.
The total budget is only £60,000, a lot less than Ed's used to working with.
It's actually a very small figure to make a difference. And that's what the challenge is.
We have a slight worry in that he's obviously used to working with huge budgets, and the people that he designs for can afford to kind of do all of these kind of things. We're not necessarily able to do that, so it will be really interesting to see what he does come up with.
I can't wait either, and 2 weeks later, the designs are ready. Now, you might think that architects dream of being given a project that's adventurous, being asked to do something very different. But actually, a bold brief can be quite tricky, because if you're too daring, it could put your client off. If you're not daring and inventive enough, they could look for another architect. So I'm wondering whether Ed's managed to strike the right balance.
I feel very good, I feel confident. I think we've got a good scheme to show them. But initially, as soon as I turn that page, I think they probably may get a slight surprise.
As long as it's sort of practical, obviously we've got a family, so it's got to be practical from that point of view.
But, you know, we want something a bit cool.
But we're happy to be a little bit different.
Well, to a point, yeah.
What we have done, it could be a slightly contentious scheme, both from planning perspective and possibly from you. But let's go through the plans first before we show you what it's going to look like.
OK.
So we're talking about giving you a very nice open plan space, and then this new extension to give you that additional bedroom that you're looking for.
To revolutionise Rachel and James's house, Ed plans to sweep away the old lounge dining room, creating a bigger hallway that connects to a dining kitchen living space running across the back of the house. It's here in a new extension that he's pulling off his first big architectural move. A soaring double-height space that cleverly creates a sense of drama without pushing beyond the small footprint of the house. Ed's second design feature, a mezzanine study area, will look down onto this space and create a connection between the 2 floors. Upstairs, a 4th bedroom will have its own ensuite bathroom inside a specially built pod. And here, Ed will rely on his final design flourish, colour, to bring a sense of drama. The front of the existing house is unchanged. It's the new extension that will provide the sense of originality that Rachel and James crave, with bright orange window frames, hexagonal cladding, and vertical storage for the family's bikes.
I love the inside. I find that really exciting.
It's certainly very, very different. I think what you've proposed for the layout inside is brilliant.
So what is that finish? I'm dying to know what that finish is on the outside.
So this finish, what we're looking at is roofing felt shingles, hexagonal.
Like a shed roof?
Yeah.
They've gone quiet.
They've gone quiet. Now, it's actually a very cheap product. It's very low cost per square metre. And then we've included your bike storage on the front because we're going to change your lifestyle here. So we're going to tell you need to go and buy some nice bikes. You need to get some bright, colourful bikes.
Are they just going to get pinched? What do you think?
Certainly not what I envisaged, you know, in terms of the exterior, the plans. Amazing that, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to verbalise.
You love it, I'm
Looks kind of... No, I do. I do. I'm a bit concerned about the bikes on the front.
I can't, at the moment, envisage what the felt tiles are going to look like.
Yes. Colours, are you happy with the colours?
It's certainly very, very different. The orange I'm not 100% set on at the moment.
I don't dislike it, just I need to think it over and think and look at... And I am concerned about the planners, whether the planners are going to say, it doesn't look like anything else around here, can't have it.
Well, it's a discussion. It's a discussion to be had with the planners. So I'm not worried about that.
You know, it's always interesting to see a client's reaction when you've presented your design. Now, it's pretty clear that Rachel and James love Ed's ideas for the inside of the house, but the outside is a different story. Now, whatever they decide to do, they've got to go through the planning system. So if they don't find some common ground soon and make an application, this build isn't going to start anytime soon.
On a 60s estate in Berkshire, where all the houses look the same, there's one couple who long to break free.
We want a house that's a little bit funky and a little bit quirky and different.
But for Rachel and James, their architect Ed Lipton's design for the exterior is proving a step too far.
I'm a bit nervous because we have had a couple of slight differences with Ed.
They're heading to meet Ed to try and get things moving.
We're trying to get it designed ready in order, really, for us to try and get it done before the winter starts. Hello, we're here to see Ed. Thank you.
I've got to be in a position to get this into planning back end of next week. So I've got to try and get an agreement today so that we can get it signed off.
We really like it, but we're also a little bit twitchy on the
practical side of it.
OK. Right, front elevation. The bikes, do you want the bikes away from the elevation?
Secure and
watertight.
Yeah.
I take your point on this. We'll find something else. That's fine. Right, on the felt tiles, I think it works very, very well here.
We want something different. We want something funky, but I don't want to drive up onto the driveway and picture in my head scaly, sort of lizardy snake.
Yeah, you think it's snaky?
It does look a little bit snaky.
I think you're so wrong. Honestly, I think it'd look amazing. And even if it's a snake, I mean, we'll call it the snake house.
Well, I don't want a snake house.
If it reminds you of scales, I don't know how I get over that.
So hard to know.
OK. Let's not use the felt. Yeah. We've got to move to the next type of cladding, which would then be a square tile. Are you sure? Do you feel resolved or not?
Yes, let's do it.
OK.
We've come out of the end of it far more reassured. I think we're going to try and get it into planning within the next sort of week or so.
But getting the planners on board isn't as straightforward as they'd hoped. 2 months on, they've had some bad news.
Planners have come back with a refusal.
They don't like the design. But I think their objection is that you've got this big bonk extension and it's just going to look too, well, imposing, I guess, on the rest of the house. And they want something that will kind of blend. Whereas Ed's obviously designed purposely, sympathetic to the house. Whereas he's purposely designed something that will stick out.
The council are very keen that everything fits in and blends into the street scene.
But the reason that we wanted to work with Ed is because we don't want bog standard extension that the rest of the estate has got.
Ed has to scale back his ambition for the exterior so that it's more in keeping with the rest of the estate. Instead of tiles all the way up the facade, there will be brick at the ground floor level. Although being Ed, he's cheekily added a secret door leading to a bike store. He's also had to step the entire first floor back and in from the boundary to make the extension less prominent.
I think we just need to convince them that the overall aesthetic actually is very much in line with the neighbours. I'm hoping, they are on board and give us permission.
It's another 8 weeks, isn't it, I think, which is a pain.
If we get a refusal, disastrous.
After a further 2 months of waiting, there's feedback on the resubmitted plans.
Finally we've got it. So. Get an approval, fantastic. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. And it means that we can move forward, we can get this thing on the site. And I think it's going to be a very, very cool scheme. So yeah, really pleased.
So, you're going to have to say bye-bye to all your toys.
Thank you.
To knock 2 weeks off the original 9-week build schedule, the family are moving into rented accommodation.
Things that you don't want to leave behind, that you want to take with you, need to go in this bag. Say bye-bye, house.
With only £60,000 to carry out his ambitious design and autumn on the horizon, Ed's bringing on board a trusted ally.
I think it's a challenge to complete that house within 7 weeks, and I like challenges. Dobrze, panowie, zaczynamy rozwalać ścianę.
Contractor Monika Slowakowska has worked on many projects with Ed, but nothing quite like this.
Ruszamy się. We specialize only in high-end residential projects. This is tiny project.
The first task is to knock down the old extension to make way for Ed's new 2-storey one.
It's quite hard work. I can't do any more. But it was fun. It's pretty good the clients aren't here, I think, because a contractor can just get on with things. The client doesn't get involved. If the clients were here, they'd probably be a bit nervous, it's a little bit stressful. But at the moment, the house has been pretty much destroyed.
After just 2 days, the demolition is complete.
Seems to be moving pretty quickly.
It's just a big pile of rubble. It looks like a bomb site, doesn't it?
A bomb site, but it needed doing. This is our house now.
Over the next 3 weeks, Monika's team crack on with the construction of the new extension. Foundations are laid.
As soon as the ground starts filling up, the space has become much more apparent.
Walls go up, and steel beams are installed. Ready for Ed's first design feature, a double-height space above the kitchen.
I need to make this space exciting for James and Rachel. It's also the very, very hub of the house.
Ed's taken inspiration from an architectural technique usually seen in far more luxurious homes. A double-height space is an effective way of introducing a sense of spaciousness and light.
By forming a double-height space, which ultimately means you're going to remove a bit of floor, we lose quite a bit of square meterage to that, but it adds that huge, actually really very exciting drama.
Ed's double-height void brings an unexpected feeling of space to such a modest-sized house. It connects the 2 floors and creates room for a large picture window, flooding the kitchen with light.
Do you know what? It's always a really good sign when you've got all this lovely hoarding up and lots of good building noise going on site. And there it is. Something great. It's hard to believe the guys have only been on site for... this is the end of the 4th week. And look what they've done. Garage has come down, footings in, ground floor walls up, and the roof going on. That's quick. How are you? You well? So good to see you.
And yourself?
Lovely to see you. How are you? This is what it's all about, isn't it?
It is.
A really good, dramatic double-height space. As soon as you start taking that ceiling out, it turns it into something far more dramatic.
Unbelievably good. Amazingly exciting.
But the double-height space won't only be appreciated from the ground floor level.
Come on in, mate. It's a nice glamorous entrance.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. But this looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this is your very lovely
balcony.
Balcony.
A balcony on the first floor takes the drama of the double-height space a step further. It will connect the new building to the old, floor to floor, as well as outside and inside through direct views to the garden.
That is great. You know, you can even see across into the garden through that massive picture window.
Yeah.
And down into the kitchen. And up over the top, really, because it's that great sense of space, isn't it? And coming right over the top.
Right over the top.
So it's following the line of the pitch of the roof. It really turns what would have been something ordinary into something quite extraordinary, I think.
Yeah.
You'll end up doing it next door. So far, this project is on schedule, and it's beginning to deliver the drama that Rachel and James so crave. But so far, they've only seen the outside shape of the building, and it's only when Ed gets to work on the interior colours and finishes that it'll start to feel like a real home. And I suspect that's when Rachel and James's decision-making with Ed will be put to the test. I just hope that they still trust Ed to deliver on what he's promised.
It's over 4 weeks into the transformation of Rachel and James's standard 60s semi in Berkshire. A bold, unconventional extension is taking shape, making a striking contrast to the nearby ranks of identikit homes.
It's a fairly conservative area. It doesn't embrace much that is new and exciting. And I'm not sure how much a go-ahead architect with funky ideas would go down, to be perfectly honest.
But progressive thinking was once at the very heart of this estate. In the 60s, as London recovered from post-war austerity, planners came up with a radical experiment: to build future towns out along the new M4 corridor. These new developments would entice Londoners with a progressive, modern way of life. Ken Gillard and his family were part of this exodus, moving on to Rachel and James's Berkshire estate in 1967.
At that time, the M4 only reached as far as Maidenhead.
The estate offered 4 different house designs, with names evoking a frontier spirit.
Coming into a new estate like this, we were somewhat pioneering a new way of living. Everything was new, everything was an adventure. Everybody in the family loved it. I suppose it gave us the feeling of space, that you were living on the edge of the countryside. The house offered us more than we had dreamed of, really.
"50 years on, and Rachel and James are pioneering their own style of living on this estate. But they're now halfway through the build and living off-site. Juggling busy lives is beginning to dent their enthusiasm.
Okay, boys, so we're going to go and have a look, drive by and see the progress that's been made on the house. Should we have a look and see what's going on?
Is it finished so we can go inside and have a drink?
Not quite. It's frustrating that even though it's going quickly, we're not there seeing everything that's going on. It's still a long process. Oh, it's horrible out here, boys. Oh, right. Oh, look, you can see the roof. That's freezing, isn't it? And look, they boarded up the windows, but you see the big squares where they're going to put the windows? That's where the big orange windows are going to be.
Orange windows?
Well, the orange window frame.
Later, and Ed's windows, one of his boldest design statements, are ready to be installed.
This is for the big window as well, isn't it?
This is the big window. It's the big one.
And the one thing I've always been intrigued about with this scheme is the colour of the window frames.
Everybody says, everybody's intrigued by that, including us.
Including us, absolutely. Well, this can be the moment of truth. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Go on then. Go on.
It's orange. All of it.
Go on,
Just a bit of it.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Oh, look at that.
It's really orange. We wanted something different. It's certainly different.
I think it's really cool, to be honest. When you go with an architect, you don't go for ordinary, do you?
No.
And it is bold and it is bright.
And it's big. I mean, the size of that
It's very
window
big.
is
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah. He's pushing the boundaries with you guys a bit. You know, he's taking you outside of a major comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. We're willing to kind
good
of,
compromise
you know,
battle,
go
so
with
to
orange
speak, isn't it?
windows.
But-
He's obviously got vision.
It's a nice leafy part of London.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's very smart. When you're handing over control of your home to an architect, a bold and playful one at that, it's not surprising that nerves kick in. So this house is a different period to yours, but it's much more about the internal space. You're getting to that stage now where you're making some key decisions about the inside, aren't you?
Yes.
I've brought Rachel and James to one of Ed's completed projects to show them how his outlandish colours, used sparingly, can be incredibly effective.
So when you come downstairs, you're going to see a real transition between the more traditional architecture upstairs.
Yeah.
It's a very modern down here. A lot of glass, a lot of light. It's staggering, isn't it?
It is amazing.
That's a really nice space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this is obviously incredibly white, absolutely everywhere.
It makes it really open and bright, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then you come back through here, and then you've got this very clever little lighting panel.
Wow. Touchscreen lighting.
Oh, wow.
So you've got LED strip lighting there, you've got it down there. He goes for it.
Yes.
The colours are quite adventurous.
Yeah.
Very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very. I like the colour then in with the white.
What about little details like this in terms of the handrail?
I really like that.
It's quite neat, actually. The light pops on.
I like it.
All nicely integrated.
Nicely recessed.
Into the wall. With illuminated slot.
Makes a big difference to that yellow, actually, just lighting it, doesn't it?
It's really cool.
There's some very bold colour throughout this house, but it never dominates.
Ed's really trying to get that little touch of colour running all the way through the space. Do you think it works?
The colour works really well, because otherwise I think this would be a little bit plain white box, I think, without that.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
I think we'll have to consider that when we're looking at the palette and the wall spaces we've got.
Yeah.
Back on site, and Ed's here to oversee the 8-foot-high picture window being installed.
It's a huge sliding door.
He saved over £3,000 by using an off-the-shelf sliding door system instead of custom-built window frames. But it's only worth it if Rachel and James can embrace Ed's colourful vision.
They're looking anxious. I think maybe they're concerned the glass won't fit, or they don't quite like the orange.
1, 2, 3.
It's really good. Absolutely brilliant.
It's really cool. It looks really, really good.
You're right.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It
works really well. I just love it. It looks awesome.
It's not just windows where bold colour can make a big impact. Architects employ colour as an intrinsic part of a building's design, not just as an aesthetic afterthought. Bold tones can be used to dramatic effect.
I'm very keen to use colour in the kitchen, and we can give that space real excitement and real interest and real drama. Perhaps making just one of the walls a bold colour, and also allows us to highlight objects within the space and actually make the space fun and hopefully raise their mood.
Ed plans to extend his idiosyncratic palette to beyond the kitchen. The new ensuite bathroom pod will be painted the same colour on all sides, so it will appear to hover above the double-height kitchen space, visible as a distinct element within the building.
Do you want to look at these samples?
Yes, that's a good idea. OK, so I think this is all of them.
Ed's letting Rachel and James pick any colour for the bathroom pod, as long as it's pink.
We have some selections of pinks here.
I don't like that. It's like baby pink.
And this is going to be something that we look at quite a lot, because you'll be standing at the kitchen sink and there'll be the pink thing up here.
Definitely not that one. That's horrible. Don't like it.
Oh,
I don't know if I can take that pink step. But, you know, he's been kind of right about the colours and things so far. It's scary to be different. We're either going to have to say, OK, he knows what he's talking about, or no pink.
With the end of the build in sight, Rachel and James need to make their minds up fast. But first, there's something I want to ask Ed.
Can I ask a question? Why pink?
I like pink. And it's soft, and actually the space is quite square and angular. Pink will just soften the space.
So it's a big decision. This seems to be the one that you really... I'd go beyond, say, feel nervous about, that you probably don't like it.
Standing here now and seeing that and realising quite how much it will project the colour into here just caused us to question a little bit whether actually pink's the right colour for that.
Wherever you stand, it's going to be in your eye.
I think paint is the one thing you can have a bit of fun with, because actually if you don't like it, you just stick another layer of paint on top. But I've also offered to paint that myself if the pink doesn't work. So we'll stand there and we'll say, all right, let's make it green.
This pink space. Do you trust your architect, as you have many times before?
No, and he's made some good decisions.
And so we trust our architect.
With a week to go, the pink's going up on all sides of the pod. Rachel and James have chosen the palest possible shade.
This wall is pink. The side is going to be pink. The dressing room door is going to be pink. So basically everything on the pod is pink on the outside.
Okay.
And then I think we should just paint this wall black, actually.
Okay.
But their choice of lighting is much more adventurous.
It's cool, isn't it? Do you like that?
Yeah, it's very good.
And also it's a lightsaber.
Rachel and James are due to move in a few days. So Monica's got her work cut out to finish the house on time.
We don't want to put the client in inconvenient position of not being able to use the house and move in. I'm trying to be flexible, which means I have to push guys to work overtime, add more people on site, try to complete it on time.
Well,
What's wrong?
that's a lot to do.
Yeah, they are working really, really quick, but maybe it's not going to be ready. You know, if it's not ready, it's not ready. I just don't want it to be rushed.
In Berkshire, Rachel and James have finally moved back into their home on this 1960s estate.
When I first met Rachel and James, it was clear that they were frustrated by living in a bland, homogeneous, semi-detached box that didn't reflect their personality.
On the outside, it was the same as hundreds of houses on the estate. Same brickwork, same cladding, same windows. The only thing that marked it as different was its oddly positioned two front doors.
For a budget of just £60,000, their architect, Ed, hoped to transform Rachel and James's lives by refashioning their old house to give them something dramatic, but also give them the extra space their family needed. It was a really ambitious brief. I'm about to see if Ed's pulled it off. There it is. All done, all finished. In so many ways, it's quite modest and quite discreet in its scale. Obviously very new compared to the old house. But one thing that does jump out is those orange windows.
Ed's new extension is a clever new addition that's given the house personality and yet sits well on the street.
Good morning. Hi. How are you? So nice to see you. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, George. How are you?
Come on out. Let's have a look.
Thank you.
What a difference, eh? You have done it.
It's just so much more exciting. You know, you kind of pull up in the car and it's kind of as if someone's kind of lifted our house out and put a new one in its place.
Are you proud of it?
Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
And we were very keen going into the project. We wanted something different, and we've certainly managed to achieve that.
The windows and everything, it just looks nice.
It's a little hint, isn't it? It's a little sign that
Well,
this is not an ordinary house. Well, it's, yeah, very big, bright orange hint, but it is a hint that you've done something different. And now You've got one very beautiful front door.
Yeah.
We do. We haven't quite relinquished the 2 doors, though.
Oh, because your hidden door?
Yeah.
See, I think that's quite a cool little touch, actually.
So we still have that.
It's nice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Really frees up the rest of the house, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a really nice touch. I like that a lot, actually. But the inside is where all the magic happens, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
Should we go inside and have a look? Come on, lead the way. Just through the one door.
Rachel and James were fast outgrowing their cramped 3-bed house. A poor layout meant that rooms led onto one another, like one long corridor, creating a lack of family and private space.
Okay, so
into the hallway.
What a difference in this hallway.
I know.
That's brilliant.
It's fantastic. Every home, you want a sense of entrance. You want to feel nice and welcome.
Now you come in, it feels light and airy, and it draws you in to the back of the house, which is the main living area.
And the other lovely thing is you can see right through to the garden.
Yes. I think for me, this is one of the nicest parts of the house now. It's just a wonderful space. It's like a welcoming hallway.
I can just see there in the snug, on the back wall, a very bold, deep, rich blue.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's worked so well.
That's going to make a big difference to family life, isn't it, having a little separate snug like that?
Yeah.
Should we go through and see the rest? Come on, lead the way.
At the back, by removing the 2 internal walls, their architect Ed has created a large living space that runs the entire width of the old house and into the new extension.
What a transformation. This is really nice, isn't it? You know, what's really good about this is that you've just made a few small changes, really, that have completely transformed the way the space works.
It's kind of the maximum width of the house that you could possibly have, and it just makes it feel so much bigger. This is just very much more open. And
We've ended up with a kitchen, dining, and a little bit of living space, and it just works really, really well.
But it's in the new extension where the biggest change to this house happens. Its beautiful, bold, double-height kitchen and mezzanine.
This space, there are no words, are there? I mean, it is just stunning. I mean, just imagine what this kitchen space would feel like if you had a flat ceiling running all the way through there. It wouldn't have anything like the impact it's got now.
We've lost on the first floor that space, and you sort of have to trust that it's going to work, and absolutely it has. Really, really works
It's
very well.
fantastic. And I love the lights. The lights are so cool.
they are very cool. It just kind of fills you with enthusiasm for life, really, doesn't it?
It makes us want to cook more.
Yeah, it makes you want to kind of have people over and sit and, you know, be able to have some dinner parties, and it's just so cool and funky and exactly what we wanted, really.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of fulfilled our dreams, really.
Before, it didn't quite feel like it was us. It was always making do with what was there, whereas this absolutely feels like us. It's brilliant.
The only thing I need to pick up on, though, pink.
I know.
Pink on the walls. Yes or no, do you like it?
Do I like it on its own? Absolutely not. No. So while I can sort of maybe just about live with it here, what it does in the bedroom.
Have you got a pink bedroom? Have you got a pink bedroom?
Yes.
That is brilliant. You're going to get so much stick off your mates. So can we go upstairs? I want to see your pink bedroom.
OK.
On the first floor of the new extension, Ed's created a new 4th bedroom and a balcony overlooking the kitchen.
Oh, I like this detail at the top. That's lovely, that. So you can kind of go left or right.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
It's excellent.
And then this is your, what do you call this? Balcony? View and gallery?
Balcony.
Balcony. I think you need to get some minstrels up here playing some instruments. This is what makes it a magical extension on the house.
Everything just works together. It's really good.
I think it's the most fantastic space.
The pink wall wraps around the ensuite bathroom pod into the new bedroom. By leaving the brickwork exposed and taking the ceiling to the top of the roof, Ed's given this modest-sized space a touch of luxury and urban cool.
I'm assuming it's just a little hint of pink.
It's a hint, yes.
It's a big hint.
Do you know what? It's not as bad as in here, is it, really? I mean, does this now give you the opportunity to get people to stay over?
Yeah, because that was one of our problems before. We have family who live too far where they have to stay with us when they want to visit, and now we have 2 extra double bedrooms.
Which is fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
The extension may be modest, but it's delivered what Rachel and James need. And outside at the back, it's a stunning architectural addition to the house.
So what do you think of the back of it on the outside?
I like the way that at the back we've brought the tiles all the way down, around the window. It works really, really well.
I love how you can look through the window and you can see all those little bits inside, the little bit of balcony and the kitchen and the lights. I love it.
You were inspired a lot from your travels and being abroad for a while and things like that. And you had preconceived ideas in your head about what you liked.
Yeah.
You liked contemporary, modern, spacious design. Yes. Did you ever think you'd have something like this on this house?
Not on this house at all, no. It's delivered tenfold what we expected. It's absolutely amazing.
It's thanks to their architect, Ed, that this clever, discreet extension has given their 1960s home a new lease of life.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Wow, look at
Great.
this. It's amazing.
I know.
Let me come through. Wow.
And for the family, it's a chance to stay in the neighbourhood they love, while enjoying a totally new way of living.
What's it like working with an architect?
We had our moments.
Mm.
You know.
They were good moments.
At times.
I think those moments were definitely colourful.
I mean, what our problem has been, what our challenge has been, is Ed has always had a very clear vision for what he was trying to achieve. And we aren't used to that. It's very difficult for us to try and sort of picture what that would be. So it's been a really interesting, yes, challenging, but certainly a process that we'd recommend. I mean, it's what we have ended up with is absolutely stunning.
Ed, at the beginning of all of this, your ambition was to change the way that these guys lived.
I think we've done that. There's that hint of design, creativity on the front, and then it's at the back. I'm really, really pleased at the back. I think the space is fantastic and the rear elevation looks great.
But all of that comes at a price, unfortunately. Your original budget was £60,000?
It was, yes.
What have you ended up spending in the end?
We allowed 75 with a bit of contingency. We've ended up spending just north of 90, but have far more than we originally set out to within that sort of 60, 75.
15 grand is still a chunk of money.
There have been points where we've sort of sat there and gone, actually, are we going to be able to afford this? And there's going to be tightening of belts in other ways, absolutely, but it's worth it. Worth every penny.
To go through that process, to come out with something like this, totally worth it.
You know, we're really looking forward to using the space and living in it and just really appreciating it. Can't wait, really. Brilliant.
I think Ed's been brilliant in pushing you and challenging you, and you've been brave enough, I think, to say yes to a lot of things that many people wouldn't say yes to. And I think the result is in what's here, what's being built. You know, Rachel and James were brave enough to dream of living in a home that was different, something that's unique to truly express who they are. And you know what? Ed's scheme delivers that brilliantly. He's given them something which is original and distinctive. Ed's managed to create spaces that will truly transform the way that Rachel and James live in this home for many years to come. And that's what good architecture is all about.